I don't understand why so many people are struggling to get on with the idea of like the usefulness of 4K video. I'm not the type of person who's all about, you know, you have to have all the newest stuff, you have to have all the best stuff. I've actually dialed back away from that kind of thing. I love classic old school stuff. However, as much as I like classic old school stuff, some innovations are just better. Like, for example, I grew up in garages my whole life. My dad's been a mechanic for like 45, close to 50 years, something like that. I grew up turning wrenches. And as much as I love classic old cars of all types from every era, they all have something beautiful about them. Power steering is a good thing. Disc brakes are better than drum brakes. Like there are some things that are just legitimate improvements, and there's a reason why they've become standard. And it's the same with media stuff, whether it's cameras, photography or videography or anything else. VHS, I think VHS video quality might have been 480, I'm not sure, but that was fine. Nobody saw a problem with that. VHS was awesome until DVD came out, which was 720p, and then it's like holy shit. And when you first see 720p, you didn't notice a big difference. It looked kind of better, but everyone's like, oh, I don't see much of a difference until everyone was used to DVD. Once everyone was accustomed to DVD, when you went back and looked at VHS, it was like, holy shit, how did I never realize this was such bad quality? And then Blu-ray came out, which was 1080. And people will see it and they say, I don't know if I see much of a difference until everyone gets used to it. And they go back and look at DVD and it's like, oh wow, I guess it's not as good. Wow. Now it's the same with 4K. Like, 4K is happening. It's a new standard. The price of 4K computer monitors, the price of 4K televisions, the fact that 4K is in almost every camera, consumer camera, from cell phones to point and shoots. Like 4K is a thing, it's happening. And it absolutely looks better. Now, if you don't own a 4K monitor, then yeah, you're one of the people who doesn't realize that it's that much better. But it's not going to be long before nearly everybody owns 4K because it's so cheap and it's just so mainstream now. And once everyone owns 4K stuff, they're going to want to view stuff on their 4K monitors in 4K, because that's the point of having a 4K monitor, is you get to view 4K stuff. It's the same way that you don't say, like on YouTube, you don't say, I want to see this in 480p. Even though you grew up looking at 480p, you don't want to use that as an option. If you have a 1080 monitor and you have the option of view in 1080, you want to see it in 1080. It's the same with 4K. Once everybody has a 4K monitor, you're going to want to view things in 4K. And going back to 1080 is going to feel like a downgrade, like, oh shit. And you're going to notice the difference. As good as 1080 looks, because you're used to it, once you become accustomed to 4K, you're going to realize how inferior 1080 is. But past that, when it comes to like cameras, like DSLRs, even for photography, people say, oh, I don't need my DSLR or my mirrorless for video, I just use it for photography, so why do I care about 4K? Dude, Panasonic has been paving the way with things like 4K photo, which is incredibly useful. Like, until, again, one of those things you don't realize how useful it is until you've used it. It's the same way that people said, oh, why do I care about focus peaking, until they have it and they're like, holy shit, focus peaking is amazing. It's the same with inbuilt image stabilization. Why do I need that crap? Until they use it and realize how useful it is, and they say, yeah, I can get by without it, but I'd much rather have it. All of these innovations, it's always the same argument. There's a new innovation that's worthwhile and it's actually good, and there's a reason for it existing, and it does improve quality. And people who don't have it or don't understand it, or they want to justify not upgrading, which is fine if you don't upgrade, totally fine, will just instinctively start to bash it like it's a bad thing until everyone uses it and everyone has it and say, oh wow. I mean, it's the same thing with the digital versus film. Digital first came out, people were like, that's crap, it's never going to replace film, until it totally replaced film. So there are 100 different uses to 4K beyond just video. Even in video, the fact that you can crop in, you can pan, you can do all these things. Even if it's not video, it has so many photo quality uses. Like you can use an 8 megapixel photo out of a video, or you can do 4K photo, or various other things. It's like 4K is a good thing. I legitimately don't understand people who keep, it's 2017, they're still saying you don't need 4K. 4K is not really that useful. It's not that good. Don't even worry about it. Like, dude, I'm not going to go out and buy a VHS player or a DVD player for that matter. I'm not going to switch over back to carrying huge stacks of books full of CDs in place of a little iPod that holds thousands of songs. Like, it's 2017. 4K is a standard and it's affordable and it's absolutely useful. Why in the fuck would I choose to keep using 1080? And as a matter of fact, if you're doing 1080, I ask you, why don't you start doing 480? Why not 480? It's just as good. You can tell what it is. It takes up less space. It was the standard for a long time. Nothing wrong with it. So why don't you switch to 480, you fucker?